Welcome to the RSVP Northern Virginia Podcast, where each week we'll take a look at some of the outstanding volunteer opportunities available to seniors in our area. I'm your host, Rob Payne, an Outreach Assistant with RSVP. Hi, welcome to the newest RSVP Northern Virginia Podcast. Today we have the pleasure of speaking with Frank Pallone. Frank, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for hosting us at your home. Frank is a volunteer with RSVP, and he does oodles of work with Hogar Immigrant Services. And today we're going to learn more about how Frank got involved with volunteering, and also what Hogar Immigrant Services is, and some of the things he does there. Frank, tell me a little bit about yourself. Now, we were talking before the podcast began. You were in government service for what, 30-something years?
30-something. Yeah, it was about 36 years.
36 years. And
36 years.
And you started out with the GAO, and then you worked with the Navy.
For the Navy for quite a while.
For quite a while. And you just retired a few years ago.
I retired 4.5 years ago.
Excellent. And how did you get involved? Were you volunteering before you retired, or were you? How did you get? When did you get involved with volunteering, just in general?
When I retired, I was looking for another job because, I wanted to work, and I spent a full year looking for a job. Never got hired. And then I said, this is going to drive me crazy doing nothing. So I said, I'm going to volunteer. But if I volunteer, I want to do something that's going to help somebody. And I don't remember how I got. I think I went to an orientation luncheon or something with RSVP. There was a list of organizations they partner with. Hogar Immigrant Service was on the list. I called them. They said, come on down, let's talk. And I got hooked.
That's excellent. Now, had you heard of Hogar before you got involved with RSVP?
I never heard of Hogar. No, Hogar is in Manassas.
Right, okay.
No, never.
Boy, that's...
And I never thought about volunteering at an organization that did anything with immigrants. It just never occurred to me.
Well, let's talk about that. What sort of sparked your interest in getting involved with immigrant services?
Well, I read a description of what they were doing, and they said, come on down. You can help us teach a citizenship class, because we help prepare people to become citizens, and that got me excited. You mean I can help somebody become a United States citizen? Yes, that got me excited. So I started teaching ESOL, and then I got involved with the citizenship classes, and I got hooked.
Now, did you have any previous experience with, I'm sure there are a lot of people out there thinking, well, if I want to get involved with teaching English to immigrants, or even something with literacy counts or something, whatever, do I need that teaching experience? Did you have any teaching experience?
Not formal teaching experience. I had experience as a trainer while I was working.
Okay.
So, I was talking to groups and stuff, but no.
But no formal teaching. So tell us a little bit, again, I'm sure there are a lot of people who are listening to this today who haven't heard of Hogar like you had a few years ago. Tell me a little bit about what the goals of Hogar are, and just sort of their basic approach.
Okay. Hogar Immigrant Service is a very wide-ranging organization. The educational services, where they take classes, that's in Manassas. Everything else is located, I think they're in a building down near Seven Corners. In addition to teaching the classes in English and in citizenship, they do they provide all sorts of immigrant services. This is out of the Arlington office. Okay, I just have one little piece of that.
Okay.
And that's the educational part of it.
And I'm gonna assume here that if someone wanted to volunteer with Hogar, all those different phases that you just described are available to volunteers.
I would assume so.
Okay.
I think the best thing to do would be to go to the website.
Right. Okay.
The name of the organization
Right.
is spelled HOGAR.
Okay.
Hogar Immigrant Service. Now, as I said, there's a wide range, relocation, housing, all that kind of stuff that's run out of their Arlington office.
Right.
The educational side of it is down in Manassas.
And of course, as RSVP Northern Virginia, we work in all the local counties, Arlington, Alexandria, and Fairfax County. So any of those opportunities would come under RSVP, and
Right.
we could help you find some of that stuff also. So walk me through the process now. When you teach, do you teach classes or do you do one-on-one or both?
Both.
Both. Okay.
I do both. I do a formal class. Now, I don't make it very formal,
Sure,
but I do a formal ESOL class. That's
Okay.
English for Speakers of Other Languages, also known as ESL.
Right.
Okay, so I do one class a week on Thursday mornings down in at the Manassas site.
Okay.
And I've got probably 10 to 12 students in my ESOL class. So that's the formal classroom work I do on Thursday mornings. What I do outside of the classroom is what they call tutoring. Tutor, tutoring. Basically what it is, I work with individual students who are preparing for their U.S. citizenship examinations, and I help them prepare so they can pass it. They can become citizens.
And with the large, I mean, there's so many stories in the media and TV about immigrant. It's a big topic these days. But regardless, there are a lot of immigrants in this area that are longing to be legal citizens, and so the demand for the services that Hogar provides and the demand for volunteers must be ever present.
I would say that, yes, the demand for volunteers is ever present. We don't have a huge influx of students coming into our place. But then I don't teach the citizenship classes, so I can't tell you.
Okay. So what you're saying is there might be some of the folks that would come through this program, not all of them aren't, how do you say it, fluent in English, or not all of them aren't fluent in English. There's some that might come from countries where English isn't an issue, where they would need to take the citizenship test.
Well, one of the requirements for citizenship is the ability to speak English. The citizenship test is 90% oral. If you can't speak English,
really,
the Citizen and Immigration Service, which is a government agency, does make exceptions for older applicants. I think I don't know what the age, I don't know if it's 65 or 75. But yes, if a certain age, you can take the examination in your native language. Under that age, and that's where that's where all of my students fall. Under that age, they have to take the examination in English. Speaking English, reading English, writing English, and reading English. That's all part of the citizenship examination.
And so when you are paired up with a student to teach them English, how long of a process is that?
Let me.
Or I'm sure it varies, but
You said when I'm paired up with a student to teach them English. When I work in the classroom,
right.
I'm trying to teach them English.
Okay.
At this point, I am teaching a low intermediate class.
Uh-huh.
When I'm working one-on-one with a student, okay, the student already has a grasp of English.
Okay, so that's more of a citizenship.
Yes.
Okay,
If the student doesn't have a grasp of citizenship, the student has no business even applying.
Well, how long ago then? Yeah, and thanks for correcting me on that.
Yeah.
And how long, when you're paired up with a student for citizenship tutoring or class, how long does that process usually take? And is that sort of the last step? I mean, by that point they already understand English.
Absolutely.
So they get to that point, they go to you, and then how long does that, on the average, how long does that take?
2 months to 3 months.
Okay.
I usually get them 2 months to 3 months before their examination.
And that's, I mean, I've read about the citizenship exam. That's not a powder puff, is it? I mean,
No.
You've got to know a lot of things about this country.
Do you want me to?
You can talk about it, sure. Yeah, I would love to hear
The
about that.
Citizen and Immigration Service administers the test, and they do 95% of it orally. Okay, it's called an interview, and if anybody is interested, you can go to their website, uscis.gov, and click on interview, and there is a video sample of the interview. Okay? Now, there's a couple different parts to the examination, and one of the parts that's all laid out is the question and answers about, I'll call it civics, U.S. civics, U.S. history, a few questions on that. The Citizen and Immigration Service on their website publishes 100 questions that comprises the database for the examiners to pull from. The examiners usually have 10 civics questions, but they have a database of 100. Think of it as going into a file drawer and pick out number 3, number 7, number 28.
Right.
Okay, so that's one part of it. Another part of it, the USCIS publishes a couple dozen English sentences. Okay, during the exam, the applicant is read 3 sentences, has to write 1 in English satisfactorily. So that's another part of it, and this is all published on their website. Then the applicant also has to read a sentence, 1 sentence in English satisfactorily. There's another couple dozen possible sentences on the USCIS website. Absolutely. They've got to be prepared, to answer all 100 questions. On the other hand, their naturalization application, it's like 17 pages long. It's very detailed. That's also fair game.
Gee. So you mean interview them about the past or something like that? And on the test, what percentage do they have to get out of those 10 questions?
Okay, out of the 10 questions, a passing grade is 6.
Okay.
Out of the 3 sentences that the examiner will dictate, 1 correct passes. And out of the 3 sentences that they are given to read out loud, 1 correct.
So it's pretty intense. And
Yeah.
let's talk about the personal side of this. I know you said one of the things that one of the reasons you got involved with volunteering, and one of the reasons you got involved with Hogar in particular, was because you wanted to make a difference. You wanted to help people. You must work with folks from all over the world, I assume, different countries, or how does that? Tell me about that.
Okay, Hogar really specializes. They're open to anybody,
Okay.
but they are really a magnet for Hispanics, Mexicans, Salvadoran, South America, Central America. I would say 94% of the student population.
So they must have some interesting stories, and you must learn a lot about some other cultures and
some of them.
Some of them do.
However, the most interesting, just a little as a footnote, some of the most interesting students I've had, one of them was from Egypt. One of them was from Mongolia.
Gee.
There's another guy from El Salvador, and one of them was from Kurdistan.
Boy, that must be
Iraqi Kurdistan, and it was really very, very interesting listening to some of the stories that they would tell.
And now, I read somewhere, and I know this number is going to be wrong, so you have to correct me, where you've shepherded, if that's the correct term, at least 8 to 10 people through this program. Is that number accurate, or is it higher now?
It's higher now.
What would you say it is now, just roughly?
I'd say it's 13 or 14.
13 or 14.
Yeah, and I'm currently working with 2 students this term. But of the number of students who have become citizens, I think it's either 13 or 14.
Boy, and that must be really rewarding.
Yeah.
And rewarding.
It is. It really is. I mean, it is. When a student becomes a citizen, it's a life-changing event for the student.
It might, yeah.
Particularly if the student has family members who have already become citizens.
And that's a commonality. That's a lot of the folks you deal with do that.
Yep.
That's interesting. And we discussed this before, and I had done some research a couple of years ago. I believe it was in 2016. You won a presidential award for your work, that must have been pretty exciting. You sort of had a funny story about that, but
I don't want to.
No, that's why. No, but you weren't one thing you didn't expect it. It was. You said that was
I didn't even know there was such an award.
And I believe you got a signed certificate from President Obama. That must have been really exciting. That's really exciting. Hold on a second. Okay. Yeah, that must have been really exciting.
Yeah.
Now, let's just talk about volunteering in general.
Sure.
And why do you think it's important that folks, especially seniors, folks who have experience like you did, that they volunteer and help other folks?
You just said it. Help other folks. Other folks need help. Let's look outside yourself and look at, can I improve anybody's lot in life?
Right.
The guy with the cardboard sign and the median strip, you throw him $1. Well, okay. There are a lot of other ways to help someone if you're inclined to do that.
Right.
If you're inclined to do that. I know a lot of people who, down at Hogar, guys my age, or within 10 years of my age, they wanted to give something back. They don't want to be idle. They want to do something useful. And so they're teaching classes. They're helping students do this. They're helping students do that.
And you, I've heard, and you've sort of mentioned it, you volunteer a pretty fair amount of hours on a typical week. What would you say? Because you said you like staying busy, so...
well, it doesn't sound like that's that much. Okay. Not counting drive time.
Right.
Not counting drive time.
Right.
Well, my class by itself is 1.5 hours. Tomorrow night is the only night this week that I'm going to be tutoring. Okay, I will see a student from 5 to 6, so that's 2.5 hours, and another one from 6 to 7:30, so that's 4 hours. I'm just tutoring one night a week.
Right.
However, that's probably going to change, and I'm probably going to be teaching 3 to 4 nights, or tutoring 3 to 4 nights a week when these folks get a date for their citizenship tests.
And then those citizenship tests, that only happens so many times a year, is that correct? Or is that just whenever actually, it's the ceremonies that only happen certain, or...
No,
do they have it all the time?
I'm pretty sure they have it all the time,
Okay.
yeah.
Have you ever gotten to go to one of the ceremonies? Or
I've never been to one, no. No, the Citizenship and Immigration Services up on Prosperity Avenue, and
Oh, okay.
yeah, they do a lot of swearing in there. Sometimes, if the weather's nice, they'll go outside. They'll go to Great Falls Park or something like that.
That's sort of pretty. Okay, all right.
I could just walk in and, I'd love to go there one time. But
yeah, no, that would be fun.
Yeah.
And so suffice to say, you do a lot of hours. And
yeah.
What you initially attracted to RSVP, and you've been with RSVP now for what?
3 years.
3 years. 3 years. Is there anything in particular you think is extra good for seniors for RSVP, as far as RSVP is concerned?
I think if there is a person out there, who would like to get involved in something, I think RSVP is a great way to do it. You don't have to put in 3 or 4 or 6 hours a week.
Right.
You can put in 1 or 2 hours a week. So there's some flexibility in what you can do.
That's great. That's wonderful.
There's some flexibility.
Yeah, there is, and it even sounds like when you were describing earlier some of the opportunities at Hogar, it sounds like they've got a wide range of things. And if you do volunteer with Hogar in the particular program you're in, you don't have to teach a class and do the one-on-one. You can do one or the other if you want. Is that possible, or is it sort of, how does that work?
You could. I'm hesitating because I don't think there's anybody that tutors a student that doesn't also teach a class.
Most of them do that, yeah.
Most of them teach a class, but they're teaching the class is their primary.
Right.
Teaching English class is their primary thing, and they do have a lot of classes going on 4 days a week. It's when you sign up for Hogar, you sign up to teach on a particular day.
Okay.
With the tutoring, no, you just work that schedule out directly with the student. But for example, I said I teach the low intermediate, the higher intermediate. I teach English on Thursday morning.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
I teach English on Thursday morning.
Right.
A teacher comes in and teaches English on Monday morning. Same class.
Right.
Teaches another one on Tuesday, another one on Wednesday.
Right.
So you've got 4 days of classes, but with different teachers.
Right. Okay. So it's a little bit of everything. And,
it's pretty flexible.
It's pretty
They have
flexible.
Classes in the morning, classes at night.
And do some of the folks who are in your group classes end up being the folks you work with one-on-one? Does that ever happen, or is that? I mean, do you get?
That's happened in a couple of times. Yeah. See, the Hogar offers the English class. They also offer every term they offer classes in citizenship.
Okay.
So some of the folks from the citizenship class, they'll go ahead and apply for citizenship. Then they want some help.
And I had one other question on Hogar, and we're getting close to wrapping this up. When someone volunteers, if one of our RSVP volunteers, either current or new, wants to volunteer with Hogar, once they have been referred over to Hogar from our volunteer specialist, Carly Hubicki, what do they have to go through an orientation at Hogar? Is there some sort of a thing where people come in and they sort of give you the ropes, or do they just say, "Here we go, teach a class"? How does that work?
Well, there is an orientation, a day-long orientation for new teachers.
Okay.
It's not necessarily how to teach a class,
right,
but how to be a Hogar teacher.
Okay.
One of the things that we have to do, for example, is at the end of class, we enter into the database, into the Hogar database, what we covered in class. Okay, I teach on Thursday. Hey, this is what I did Thursday morning, so the Monday morning teacher can see where I left off.
Okay.
So, it's that type of thing, filling out time and attendance or that type of thing.
Okay, so more procedural stuff.
Yeah, no practical thing in teaching.
But they give you a book or something, or some type of guide?
They have textbooks that they give you. Okay. And the textbooks pretty much lay out your lesson plan.
Okay. And just in case there's anyone listening today who has a family member or a relative that wants to become a United States citizen, can they call Hogar directly, or do they have to be referred to by the government? Or
No. They can walk in and inquire about citizenship.
Okay.
They go to the website, get the phone number.
Okay.
No, they don't have to be referred to by a government agency.
Okay, wonderful. Well, Frank, thank you again for your time this morning, and thank you for inviting us to your home. We on behalf of everybody at RSVP, we want to thank you for all the great work that you've done.
Thank you.
We really appreciate it and value your time and work and expertise, and we look forward to more of it in the future. And it's been a pleasure chatting with you, and thanks so much for being on the podcast.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you. And that wraps up another podcast for RSV Northern Virginia. Don't forget, if you have not already joined RSVP, please check out our website at www.rsvpnov.org. We have a lot of upcoming lunch and learns and podcasts and orientations, and you can call Carly at 703-403-5360 on the RSVP hotline and sign up for a registration and get more information. This is Rob Payne with Frank Pallone. Thanks so much, and have a great day. Thank you for joining us today on the RSVP Northern Virginia podcast. For Carly Hubicki and Nadia Hoonan, this is Rob Payne saying thanks and have a great day. Remember, RSVP Northern Virginia, matching great senior volunteers with great opportunities. For more information, please visit our website at www.rsvpnova.org. Have a great day.